Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester, albeit a slightly different filming location. And in today's video, I'll be trying out this Mercedes-AMG E53 4MATIC Plus. A huge thank you to Exotics by Enterprise. It is a hire car, but in my case, it's a courtesy car. And if you are a Mercedes-AMG owner or a Mercedes-Benz owner and you would like your car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. A quick overview: the Mercedes E-Class is Mercedes' executive saloon since 1993. Although the lineage of this car has been around since 1953. Interestingly, with those pre-E-Class name cars, they were 3-digit number followed by an E. The E stands for Einspritz, which is German for fuel injection, though from 1993 onwards, with the facelift of the W213, as well as the rest of the Mercedes lineup, they put the letter before the number. So previously, it was known as a 500E, which is actually built by Porsche, mind you. And then after 93, it was renamed E500. And instead of the E standing for Einspritz, it just stands for the class of car. So E-Class. So technically speaking, whilst the W120 spawned this lineage, followed by the W110, W114, and W123, the first E-Class is the facelift 124, and was then followed by the W210, W211, W212, W213 and W214. This is a W213 facelift, and in this video we are just going to focus on this. Not only is it an E-Class W213, but it's also a Mercedes-AMG E53, which uses a 3-litre straight-six with mild hybrid technology. And the reason it's called a 53 and not a 43 like the first 2 years of the W213 entry-level AMG is because the 43 uses the V6 and this uses the newer straight-six, the M256. This is also a first for Mercedes-AMG because it's also the first hybrid AMG model, albeit a mild hybrid, so it uses a 48-volt electric motor. And Mercedes call it an EQ starter alternator, and it's mounted between the engine and the 9-speed Mercedes torque converter gearbox. Not only does it have a traditional turbo, but it also has an electric turbo alongside it. And the result is 429 horsepower from a 3-litre straight-six. And while we're here are all the performance specifications of this car. And you can also argue that the 43 and 53 are actually successors of the E500, as there is no modern-day E500. But that being said, unlike the old E500, seen on the W212, which does have a V8, but it's all Mercedes-Benz and not a single ounce of AMG in it. This, I think, is a sweet spot, having a big-ish engine with lots of power, but still having some dynamics from an AMG Mercedes, meaning you don't have to go to a full 63 to gain those benefits. And for any eagle-eye viewers here, you can probably tell it's got AMG brake calipers, along with all these other upgrades to this car. Of course, the E-Class is mainly the executive saloon, as mentioned, so the vast majority of E-Classes that you would find in the UK are E220Ds, E250Ds, or E300 petrols. And of course at the very top you got the E63S 4MATIC Plus, but in this video we're just going to focus on the 53. The 63 really needs its own separate review. And of course the W213 was replaced by the W214, which also retains the E53 model as well. And due to the nature of this being a 53, its direct competitors won't be the M5 or the RS6, but rather the M550 and the Audi S6, and a few others here as well. So here is the front of the AMG E53, and here is the key fob. Pretty much the same as the C43 and the A35, though on the 63 you get the Affalterbach crest on the reverse and AMG on the very bottom. Just like the larger 63, it has the Panamericana front grille, though on the 63 they actually make it larger. And unique to the E-Class is this black surround here, so the slats are actually slightly smaller. Being a Mercedes, you've got the large three-pointer star here, as well as another one up here, and that is part of the 360 camera system. Quick fun fact, Mercedes UK have their finance headquarters in Milton Keynes, so as a result, a lot of these Mercs you find on UK roads start with the letter K, denoting that they were registered either in Buckinghamshire or Bedfordshire, and of course Milton Keynes is in Buckinghamshire. Being a facelift, you ditch the double eyebrows and instead you have the double dots, obviously to resemble the old double eyebrows, as well as the quad circular headlights you get on the W210 and W211 and the pre-facelift W212. The 53 more or less has the same bumper as an AMG line, albeit with a slight extra bit of aggression, such as the grille. Like all modern Mercedes, you get these scripts here on the driver's side of the window. Sometimes they're this Mercedes script from 1909, sometimes they're Carl Benz's signature, other times they're Gottlieb Daimler's signature. This E53 has the bonnet bulges as seen on the coupe and convertible models, though in the 53 even the saloon and estate get them. And while we're at it, yes, you can get this car either as a saloon or an estate or a coupe or a convertible, unlike its successor. The wheels, this facelifted model has these aero style wheels which are a lot more 2D than the predecessor, and you can also get these in diamond cut, though in this particular specification I like them in black. And of course it's got AMG brake calipers. To denote its variant, it's got the Turbo 4MATIC Plus emblem on the side. 4MATIC Plus meaning it's rear wheel drive most of the time, but all wheel drive when you need it. And interestingly, this badge was originally designed to say bi-turbo, but obviously there's only one traditional turbo here, so you got all of this gap here on where the extra letters would have been. The overall side profile is very, very good looking, very similar to the pre-facelift. Personally, I would prefer the coupe, and interestingly, it's a night pack. However, the door handles are still chrome, and because this is a premium plus, so you get the nice glass panoramic sunroof, you can also get keyless entry. So to lock, you just tap this indentation here, and to unlock, you just put your hands over here. It's got rear privacy glass. Rear wheels are pretty much the same. Coming to the back, reminiscent of the W212, the tail lights extend into the deck lid. Denoting that this is a 53 and not a 63, you get these quad round tailpipes. They're black to denote that this is the night pack, and you get this lower valance resembling a diffuser. Once again, despite being the night pack, you get the chrome strip here and chrome badges. Eventually, Mercedes reluctantly gave shadow chrome badges, but they are not the full gloss black that you get from other manufacturers. Being a 53, you get this distinctive lip spoiler here. Not even AMG lines get them. And of course the E53 badge is on the right as opposed to the left, because this is a Mercedes-AMG E53, not a Mercedes-Benz E53 AMG. Here's what the rear end looks like. Maybe ever so slightly better looking than the pre-facelift due to the way the taillights look, but I'm really being pedantic. Part of the Premium Plus pack, in order to open the boot, you could press the button on the key fob, or you can just do it yourself, or just kick like that and it opens up to reveal this very cavernous boot. Here's how much space you get. Seats do fold just by pulling on these tabs. You do get some underfloor storage, and you got that lovely Mercedes foldable basket. Mercedes being German, you get the mandatory first aid kit and mandatory triangle. And one thing I like about the E-Class is this hook here. It's out of the way when you don't need it, but when you do need it, you just pull on this tab and away they come, and obviously you can just hang on each side of this hook. And you've also got this sticker to show you how to do the kick system. This button here obviously closes the tailgate, and this one closes the tailgate and locks the car. But once again, we can just do this and the tailgate shuts. Because this AMG Mercedes is a variant of a Mercedes-Benz car, if I open the fuel door like so, you get this massive opening, but this is all you get for the fuel cap, because in diesel models this section here would be for your AdBlue. Coming to the back, the benefits of an E-Class over a C-Class is very apparent here. You do get lots of nice space. That's just the steering wheel lock. This AMG model is equipped with this very nice carbon fiber veneer. You also get extended Artico leather on the doors and on the dash, which I'll show later on. This particular car has contrast white stitching, but you do get some Napa leather on the grab handle and these very nice silver touches all around the car. Part of the Premium Plus, you got the Burmester sound system, and they even knurled the door lock. Sat inside now, I've got lots of headroom, I've got lots of knee room. That seat is set to my driving position, and I can stretch a lot further than I would in a C-Class. You get AMG floor mats, though these are available on AMG lines. This particular car even has tri-zone climate control, so even the rear passengers can adjust the fan speed and the temperature. Instead of nets, I like these plain style seat back storage cubbies. I think they look more upmarket. Again, this is Napa leather, and you get bits of Dynamica here, which is what Mercedes use for their suede cloth material. And you get Isofix in the back as well. The centers of the seats are perforated, and you got your mandatory center armrest here where you can store some stuff here. Not sure what you can store in here. And the cup holders pop out like so. The panoramic sunroof does help add some light to the rear despite having a dark headliner. You've got your dampened grab handles here, your LED reading light, and your coat hook here, and another coat hook here, and another air vent with some knurling on the adjuster. Coming to the front, things do get a lot nicer in here. The AMG kick plates are illuminated. You get the alloy pedals, they could do with a clean, mind you, and you can even open the boot from here as well and close it. Once again, you've got the carbon fiber inlays, Burmester sound system, heated seats. This one does not have ventilated seats, and fully electric memory seats as well. And I do like that Mercedes put these switches on the doors so they're easier to see. They've even added AMG emblems on the seat backs, though these seats are the basic ones and not the performance wingback ones. Now coming inside, the interior is just as good looking as the exterior. So once again, there's lots of carbon fiber in here, and these seats are very well bolstered, and you get a twin textured steering wheel. It's all leather, but 9 and 3 are perforated. So here is my point of view. So if I open the door and close it again, I get greeted by this very lovely intro screen where the E53's front end shows up and the grille is front and center. And they even made sure it's an E53 because it's got the Panamericana grille, albeit not the 63's grille. This saloon has the traditional horizontally slatted air vents, same with the Estate, but if you get a coupe or a convertible, you get the very nice turbine vents which don't have these dials here, but instead you twist them like this. It's a shame that they did not incorporate this, at least for the facelift. The facelift also gets this updated steering wheel, which I'm not the biggest fan of in terms of side prongs. I think the pre-facelift had a nicer steering wheel, both looks and ergonomics, because every time I rest my hands on 9 and 3, the thumb doesn't feel 100% comfortable due to these extrusions here. That being said, it was designed to mimic the twin blade grille that you got on the pre-facelift car. And while we're here, unfortunately, just like all the other Mercedes cars I've reviewed, the steering wheel is not directly in front of the driver. So in long distance journeys you can feel a bit twisted behind the wheel. What I do like is that the auto selector is on the column and not on the center console. Reason being is that it perfectly frees up this center console, though in continental Europe you can get a base E-Class with a manual. So they had to completely redesign this center console for manual models. And let's face it, it's only PRND, so you don't really need a great big selector on the center console to let you know which mode you're in. And I do like that it perfectly mirrors the indicator stalk. With regards to Mercedes, even if it has a center mounted gear selector, the wipers are always controlled on the left. And cruise control used to be another one here, though it is now here in this car. Of course, there's an AMG badge on the steering wheel, and it is flat bottomed as well. And you also get these two dials here, which I'll get back to later on. This car also has a lot of cup holders, so you've got the two in the back. You've also got one here, two here, please excuse the coins, another one there, though the bezel for where the left-hand drive boot releaser is looks a bit funny and could potentially be another cup holder, meaning that there are a total of 6 cup holders in this 5-seater car. You can also remove the center console cup holders like so and use this as extra storage, though I prefer to have them in. And this matted section here, not only does it have 3 pointed stars, but it can also charge your phone. You do get a traditional 12-volt socket here, but being a facelift you get a USB Type-C here. Pre-facelifts would have had a USB. And in here you also got 2 more USB Type-Cs, and this center console cubby is very cavernous. Once again, the Nappa leather is extended onto here, and whilst the plastic is nice here, the button is a bit scratchy. In fact, not just with this one, all the other Mercedes cars I've filmed, newer ones at least, this is the worst plastic in the entire car. Again, more left-hand drive quirks, so the drive mode selector is on this side of the car instead of this side. Same with the manual selector, it's a bit inconvenient on where it's located. Everything else is absolutely fine, so you've got your adaptive dampers, stability control, parking cameras, auto stop start, exhaust button, volume dial, and then it gets a bit funny here again with these shortcut buttons all the way here, so phone, navigation and media. And once again, there are a few creaks if you apply pressure onto these panels. If this were to be a Mercedes or an Audi, the quality may be significantly better, but that being said, the overall look makes the car feel more special than the other two, despite the lesser plastics used in this particular car. Once again, the Artico leather is extended onto the dash and the door tops, though they don't feel as nice as the ones you get in the XFR. Once again, you got your dampened grab handle here, you got your visor here with places to store your notes, and vanity mirror with a very bright light. You got somewhere to store your sunglasses, you got a frameless mirror, and well, that's about it other than the sunroof. So the sunroof is closed with the blind open, so to close the blind you just push this way, and there goes the blind. Unfortunately it gets very gloomy, and to open it you just do that. And to open the entire sunroof, same direction, and there we go. There's even a little net here to deflect any wind. Unfortunately, it only opens halfway. Here's what the infotainment system looks like. This facelift car has the MBUX system. Pre-facelift cars would use the old Mercedes command system. And saloons, coupes and estates have this facelifted dial. But the convertible uses the pre-facelift's dial and pad on top of it. And obviously you can control using this pad. It's also a touch screen, which the pre-facelift one isn't. And you can also use these touch points here as well, which isn't the most sensitive way to control it. I think a dial would have been more efficient, but it's got everything you need. Phone, nav, radio, media, comfort. Okay, I'm going to go to comfort for now. So it's got seat kinetics and ambient lighting. So seat kinetics are only there to move the bolsters up and down, but they are not the full massaging seats that the CLE had that I filmed. Ambient lighting, there are 64 different colours to choose from. And it's too bright to show you the colours right now, but if you drop the temperature, the corresponding side will glow blue. And if you raise the temperature, the corresponding side will turn red. There's also apps, stores, settings, but one of my favourite options is AMG Performance. So it shows you what wheels the power is going to, how much brake is going, and how much throttle. It also shows you a G meter. You also get, sorry, this controller is a bit funny, engine specifications, consumption, and dynamic select, which gives you the option to individually configure which part of the car you want in dynamic mode. And you get a lovely picture of the E53, albeit in silver. And this prong controls this screen. So currently I've got the dial set into sport mode, but there are other styles to choose from, such as classic, sport, which is what I already had, super sport, which just has the one dial, or understated, which I don't think suits this car very well. I think this would look better on an S-Class, and the rev counter is swapped for a clock. And of course you still have the power and charge dial underneath. You can also choose what information you want to show, such as assistance and what you want with it. And you can also choose what you want behind each dial. So you've got all of these menus to choose from. And it's the same story with the speedo, though unfortunately with the speedo the information completely takes over that. So I personally leave it there. There is also phone, nav, performance, trip, radio, media, and service. There are too many for me to showcase you in this video, but me personally, I keep it on average trip and boost. I would have had the two the other way round, but having this here completely takes over the rev counter. Of course you got this button here, but if I just turn on the ignition, here's what the two dials do. So with this one you can activate or deactivate any shortcuts, including the exhaust. And if you tap each section, you can choose what you want. So for me it would be exhaust one side and 360 camera the other, which looks like this. And then to turn it off you just press this button again. I've complained earlier about the drive mode selector being on the wrong side for right hand drive, but this steering wheel mounted controller more than makes up for that. So comfort, individual, sport, sport plus, and on an E63 you also get race. Let's leave that in comfort for now and press the exhaust button. So that's the exterior and interior done now, so let's see what this car is like to drive. So window down, seat belt on, foot on the brake, and press the start button. AMG cars have something called an emotion start, so I'm going to hold the up paddle to see if that makes a difference while doing it. It certainly does. It even revs a little higher as well when starting up. Not the cold start I'm on about, but when actually starting up. So let's let the revs drop. Revs have dropped now, so give it a rev. So there's a soft limiter just after 3000 RPM, but for an entry-level car this does sound very promising. So window back up, exhaust off for now, and off we go. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm actually in the same industrial estate where I normally film the static section, but due to the nature of it being a weekend that I'm filming, the usual supermarket car park is overflown. So, leaving the industrial estate now. And from first impressions, the steering is just like any other Mercedes. It is very, very light. That was an ambulance. Some may argue that it feels a bit dead in the hands and it doesn't give full communication. Others may say it makes it a little easier to handle as not much strength is required to turn the wheel. Me personally, I would prefer some more direct feedback like in a Jaguar XF. And yes, I do mean a Jaguar XF 2 litre. Even that car has nicer steering. And what also has really nice steering, to see that car, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. Currently at a set of lights, currently have my foot on the brake, but if I push the brake pedal even further, that activates hold mode. Now my foot is off the brake and the car is still stationary. That I do like. And into Eastern Avenue now. Somewhat rush hour here, and I'm just cruising along. It's so comfortable, it's so cosseting, it's very quiet. I think in German markets you can get double glazed windows. Unfortunately, you can't get them in the UK. But that being said, it is doing a very good job isolating myself from the outside world. Furthermore, in comfort mode, I'd say this AMG feels nicer than its standard Mercedes-Benz counterpart. I've driven a CLE 300, but not an E300. And the CLE is basically the successor to the Coupe C-Class and E-Class. And already we're at our first roundabout. Off we go and turn. So it is intersections like these where the light steering can seem like an upside as a positive, but me personally it's not too much of a difference. And these tiny little inputs, they don't feel as direct as I would like them to be, but I am being quite nitpicking at this point. We're driving through a long road with so many speed bumps, and because this car has adaptive dynamics as standard, it's got air suspension all round, it is doing a very good job ironing out these bumps. Of course you feel the judders if you go halfway up these speed bumps, but that being said, I am being really pedantic, and this road is full of undulations, like so. What you may see in the camera may not be entirely accurate. It does look like I'm moving about a lot, but it doesn't feel like that I'm moving about a lot at all. Here comes another speed bump. Didn't even move up and down at all, but that's a bad example. That one is pretty much thin. Here comes a manhole, barely anything. Halfway up the speed bump, There was a slight, that was there telling me I was about to crash, but it's a false alarm. When I go halfway up the speed bump, like only 2 wheels on it, then yes, there is a huge jolt. But as far as everyday driving goes, as far as actually driving over the speed bumps normally go, this AMG Mercedes is doing very well. Again, this is an AMG Mercedes, so it's meant to be the performance variant. Okay, not the full fat 63, but the one below. And if you are an E63 owner and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. Due to being in an E-Class, of course it feels larger than the C-Class, because it is a larger car, meaning this usual road that I take does feel narrower than in my usual car. So to remedy that, I can just press the 360 camera and I get a plan view of the car, as well as a frontal view of what's in front, a view that may otherwise be compromised by the long bonnet. Same story with the back and same story with the sides. Ideal to get as close to the curbs as possible without actually colliding with them. Also, one thing I would like to add is, due to this car being a mild hybrid, some of the stress from the engine is taken over by the EQ boost system, which is obviously Mercedes speech for mild hybrid. So as a result, not only do you get 429 horsepower from this 3-litre straight 6, but I've also been averaging over 30 mpg, about 32 mpg, which is roughly how much I average in my 2-litre Jaguar F-Type, and that's a 300 horsepower car. So if you are a 2-litre petrol Mercedes owner, like an E300 for example, and you're thinking to get an E53 as a daily driver, I'd say it's worth taking the plunge. In the city centre now, a lot busier here than the previous road. Again, manoeuvrability is somewhat compromised, relatively speaking, being in a large vehicle in a very narrow-ish road, especially when there's cars parked on both sides. And once again, you've got the 360 camera to help add some guidance. At a red light already, and half of the road is blocked. There we go. So maneuvering around the city, steering again, the lightness does have its upside with these very sharp turns straight after a light. Again, it's busy out here in the city centre of Gloucester, but I don't feel like any of that distant murmur is coming at all. Sharp right-hander. Again, not much input was required. And yeah, that's city centre driving in this AMG Mercedes. Maybe somewhat tricky if you're in Bristol, but in Gloucester, perfectly fine. Here we are at the sharp left-hander. Let's see if this car has any body roll, bearing in mind it has the standard seats and not the performance wing-back ones. Again, the bolsters are fine here, but there's literally no support at all for my upper torso. Green light. And turn. Yes, there was no body roll at all. This car has coped this turn very well. Not even a single push like that. No pressure felt from the bolsters. It was perfectly planted. And may I also add, I'm thankful that this car is a mild hybrid system, so that means the petrol motor. So that means the petrol engine is working constantly. If this were to be a plug-in hybrid, things would be a bit different, because in a plug-in hybrid you get that very ugly charge port on the back of the car. And may I also add that I'm thankful that this is a mild hybrid system, so that means the battery is constantly being charged. Also, I don't have to worry about having a very ugly looking charge port on the rear of the car like you get on an E300E. Mercedes have been putting their electric charge ports on the rear for a really long time, and I think it completely ruins the way the car looks. They did fix it on the W213 C-Class, where the charge port mirrors the fuel door on the left-hand side. Plus, with plug-in hybrids, once the battery is drained, it doesn't get charged up by the engine. So you're basically carrying a big heavy battery. Whereas this mild hybrid is just a very small motor that's in operation constantly. So that's another reason why I'm seriously considering on actually buying one of these. Whether or not I end up buying an E53 remains to be seen. But there's one last thing to check, see what it's like on the open road. Okay, one last thing to check, see what this car is like on the open road. I'm currently in the 50 zone, so I'm not going to put my foot down just yet. I've mentioned this car has a Sport and a Sport Plus mode. Sport turns the adaptive dampers into one of its two settings, the first setting, and it holds the gears longer. Basically, it's Mercedes equivalent of moving the auto selector from drive to sport. So it does hold the gears longer, and it is more eager to accelerate, but it's only really half the story. So we're going to go straight to Sport Plus. That being said, it is rush hour here in the Brockworth bypass, and of course putting it into Sport Plus will turn on the exhaust and put the adaptive dampers on its second setting. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. It still feels rear-wheel drive. I've mentioned it's 4MATIC Plus. It only goes into all-wheel drive mode when you need it. Let's do that again. There's even the odd pop and bang on the deceleration. And because, again, this is EQ, I do feel the deceleration is a lot more eager than on a normal car. That's probably just to help recoup any lost energy. And despite being an E53 and not an E63, I don't feel like I'm falling short of anything other than maybe a handmade engine. And again, it does the performance very well, and it does the comfort very well. And if you're on a long distance journey, I'm at 70 right now, doing 70 on top gear, which is 9th gear in this case, this car cruises along at 1600 RPM. So on a long distance journey, obviously with the exhaust off, it is a relaxed cruiser, dare I say it, a 4-door GT car. So let's head on to that roundabout, do a U-turn, see what it's like in manual mode. Unlike on that A35 review, I will remember to press the manual button on the center console. Okay, setting this car into manual mode now, and putting this into its full fat Sport Plus mode, and approaching the roundabout. I've taken control of the gears, bit of a cue. We can also see what it's like as it integrates from rear wheel drive to all wheel drive. Yeah, so light steering is still apparent in this Sport Plus mode. And back into the slip road, and I really like how it's got shift lights on the dials, well, on screen, and when it's time to change it flashes red. And unfortunately it's a bit too busy here on the bypass to stretch its legs, let it free up. As far as changing gears go, it's nearly as instantaneous as a dual clutch. And as far as torque converters go, I think this is the fastest shifting automatic that I've driven. It does delay if there is a slight delay in response when I'm not accelerating, but when I am, it's all snappy all of a sudden. nice bit of pop and bang. And on a roundabout. I hit the red line there. It's at 6,500 RPM, and I do think this car could benefit with another 500. So let's get back to the car park and finalize this video. Also, one last thing I want to mention before this video ends. Look, I am currently in maximum attack mode, like so, and the exhaust is popping and banging at every downshift, like so, and all I have to do is just do 2 turns of this dial, and now it's back into comfort mode, and it completely transforms the car from maximum attack to cruiser. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Mercedes-AMG E53. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.